The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated.
Welcome back to the Nova Society. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, and I'm here with my panel, Dr. Scott Gershwer and Dr. Mark Bound. Today we will be answering listener emails, and we have a question from Roman, who lives in York, England. And Roman asks, with the UK threatening to recognize Palestine at the UN unless Israel agrees to a ceasefire, how might this reshape Western diplomacy in the Middle East? Could this move pressure in the US to reconsider its stance on Palestinian statehood? That is an excellent question, Roman. Scott, Mark, your thoughts? We were talking about this earlier with France already having done that, and you said it was not helpful. So go ahead.
To me, this is the opposite of helpful. This is absolutely disastrous. The Palestinian state is something that needs to be negotiated, and it's there's got to be some kind of safety measures in it for the Israeli people, or they'll never go for it. As you can imagine, the attack on 10/7 really set back what had been a pretty big move toward having a Palestinian state because of the rapprochement between Israel and Saudi Arabia, which would include as part of it a Palestinian state. The Hamas attack on 10/7 destroyed that possibility, and we haven't quite gotten back there yet. So this idea that we're gonna just declare that Palestine has a state is first of all ridiculous. Second, extremely anti-Semitic in my view, and will not be taken up, I don't think, by the United States, nor should it be, nor should it be taken up by anybody else. We're further from peace than we ever have been, which is an awful pity, but it's not. They're not making this situation any better. France acted foolishly, and the UK is threatening to.
Yeah, I guess my question, when they say we recognize the Palestinian state, where the heck are you talking about? Give me a physical location. Are you talking about just Gaza? Are you talking about Gaza and the West Bank? What exactly, where is this state supposed to be? And I agree with Scott. That has to be negotiated. You've got to have a place first before you can have a state. So you've got to have a place that's agreed upon. This is where you live. And in this case, it has to be, there's a lot of players in this that have to make that agreement. And one of them has to be the Palestinians. So, we're declaring we recognize the state of Palestine. I don't know. Okay. Can you give me a location? Can you fly to it? I mean, I don't know I don't see the value to it.
What was the original? That's a great point, Mark. What was the original agreement going to be with the two-state solution? I hadn't even thought of that. That's a great point. What was
talking about in the 1940s, or are you talking about now?
Well, both. I mean, was there a difference? I never thought about that. So the original one in the 1940s and the one that was just agreed to before all this horrible stuff happened. And what then will it take? I mean, are they just going to keep at this forever because Hamas can just keep adding more people, I suppose? So there never will be an end. I mean,
well, as I say, you've got to find where this is. Are you going to give them parts of Syria? I'm sure the Syrians aren't going to be real happy about that. You're going to give them parts of Jordan, Saudi Arabia. What country? Where is a piece of property in the world other than Gaza that nobody else claims? I don't know. What, Antarctica? I mean, seriously. And I mean, that might sound ridiculous, but whose property are you going to take away from and get them willing to do so to be able to put the Palestinians in? As I said in one of the previous sessions that we had, the Palestinians have never shown themselves to be good tenants. They come in, and again, this isn't all Palestinians, but they seem to be under the influence of outside sources. I'm going to give them that much credit. I'm going to say it's probably Iran. They are under that influence, and like what happened, and I mentioned this before, what happened in Kuwait. The Palestinians, the Kuwaitis actually invited in, helped Saddam Hussein invade Kuwait. Well, I'm sorry, that's not going to win you too many friends. And that's going to make people very leery of trusting you to let them in. The Egyptians weren't real big on letting them in. I mean, do some of these nations have strips of land that could be populated? Well, yeah, but when you say could be populated, yeah, you could put people into it, but can it thrive? And the answer probably is no. Probably it can't thrive. So again, when you say the Palestinian state, where in the hell? I don't know where the hell you're talking about, unless you're just talking about the Gaza Strip. Now, if you're making the political classification of Palestine as a people, okay, that's a lot different than recognizing statehood for somebody. So I agree with Scott. I think France doing it was I'm not going to say foolish. I don't think it means anything.
But it does mean one thing, Mark. What it means is that Hamas keeps fighting.
Well, yes, it bolsters Hamas. You're right, Scott. You're absolutely right. But in the grand scheme of logic, I mean, I don't know. Will it change the United States' stance on statehood? Once again, show me a state first. If we were to have a 51st state in the United States, in the North American continent, and we were going to put it there, and it was going to be a state created for a certain set of people, we'd have to take away from other states, property from other states. Now, probably North Dakota, South Dakota wouldn't be a bad idea, but because nobody lives there. Wyoming wouldn't be a bad idea. Nobody lives there. But I've got news for you. I think the people of Wyoming probably wouldn't be for it, or Montana. They wouldn't be for it. They're proud of their state. They don't want to give anything up. And then if they were to give something up, I'm sure they're not going to be giving up the prime real estate to do it. So again, when we talk about statehood for Palestine, when we talk about the two-state solution, nobody's ever explained where exactly we're going to put Palestine. Where is this place? Gaza? That's not enough. Not even close. If you were to take every single Palestinian that inhabits all the other areas in the world, you aren't going to fit them in Gaza. Let's face it, if you took every Jew, you're not going to fit them all in Israel either, probably. But so I have this issue of when they say statehood.
Yeah, I mean, we see this in different places around the world, right? The Kurds have long wanted a state of their own, and there are Kurds in Turkey, Syria, and Iran, and I'm sorry, in Iraq, and the Kurds have long wanted their own country. Syria right now is preventing them. They have an autonomous region, right? but they're not achieving statehood. Turkey won't allow it. We see the same thing. I mean, we saw the same thing basically in Spain and France with the Basques. We see it with the Rohingya. There a lot of places around the world. There are nationalisms that want to have their own political identity, and it flies in the face of the general way the world is going. Now, Israel was formed in the wake of World War II after the Holocaust, and because of that, it was a Jewish state. I'm not really sure how that all would have gone if the Palestinian leadership hadn't supported the Nazis during World War II, and then came out and said, well, we want our own state too. And somehow were granted that state and turned it down. So, whereas I think a lot of people naively say Israel needs to incorporate the West Bank, Gaza, and all of what is Israel today, and throw it open to anybody who wants to come back there, and allow them all a vote in, and you'll create a government that would essentially wipe out the state of Israel, because the numbers are just overwhelming on the other side, and would lead probably to the migration of 7.4 million Jews out of Israel, probably to come to the United States of America. It's an anachronism, I will say. I don't, generally speaking, believe in that kind of nationalism. However, I will say that any country that has a flag that has a crucifix or a cross on it is a Christian state. Any country that has a flag that has a crescent or a scimitar, that crescent sword, is a Muslim state, and that there is only one Jewish state. It's a tiny little place. It's 7 million Jews, I believe, live there. Half the Jews in the world, the other half are more or less here in the United States. They are very successful at fighting for their own security. They got let down on October 7th by their own government. Netanyahu needs to pay a political price for that. He's not yet done that. Do I support a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza? Yes, I do. But that it has to be secure. It has to have security guarantees. And I'm old enough to remember that in the 6-Day War, the Egyptians got the UN peacekeepers to move out of the way so that they could invade Israel. And once those peacekeepers were induced to move out of the way, that's when Israel struck. So, the ongoing situation, tragic, ongoing situation, so up in the air about what's going to happen. But what cannot happen is nobody can ask Israel to just commit suicide. And allowing Hamas to win this, as France has done and England is threatening to do, makes that more inevitable and only increases the immiseration of the people of Gaza, because Israel is going to continue to fight.
Correct. And again, I'll go back to, could this pressure the U.S.? No. We are so far removed from reality right now. It's not the same. We're not talking about the influence of France and the United Kingdom having any influence on the United States at this point in time. So, again, our foreign policy is so out of there that we're removed from that. But I would also remind people, we have to look at our own history under this. When the Europeans came here, the Native Americans that were here allowed them in. Maybe they should have really built a wall, and they didn't. And look what happened. And I'm sure there's still Indian, Native American nations here in the United States that, yes, they have, national reservations, this, like this, that, and the other, but that would really like to have what was taken from them back. And to ask Israel to give back what was given to them, whether it be for political reasons or whether it be by right, that it's just unreasonable. And it would be unreasonable to ask any country to give back.
Including the Palestinians.
Including the Palestinians.
Trump's idea of let's get the Palestinians out of Palestine and they can go somewhere else and live their lives is, is at best naive, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, it's a difficult situation, but when, as I say, when somebody talks about two-state solution, I say, okay, fine. You've got to define the borders of those two states. Truly define them. You can't have any other discussion until you've made that, until you've actually figured that part out. And that's going to be a difficult thing to figure out, because if you're going to expand Gaza to include more land, to let, at least give the Palestinians a chance at building a good state, or a successful, sustainable state, somebody's going to have to give up something. And I don't know. I don't know who it's going to be.
What we're talking about is political power. I mean, there were Jews and Christians living in that area for 2,000 years, or 1,000 in the case of the Christians, without political power, owned by whatever group happened to be coming through at that particular time, right? For the most of the length of it, the Ottoman Empire. Until the end of World War I. And to say, look, the people live there. The people are a fact, but they don't have any political power. They have a political identity, but it's probably not much more than an identification that I am a Palestinian, or I am an Israeli, or I am a Druze, or I am a Kurd, or I am a Turk, or what have you. It doesn't matter if the British Empire claims your lands. You are a colony of the British Empire. You want to be whatever you want, but until that ends, you don't have the clout to make decisions for yourself and your people and your children and so on. And that's really what we're talking about more than land, even is having the political power to make decisions for yourself. And sadly, the Palestinians have never had a decent leader in their history. Never had a decent leader. Right. Their leader in the 1930s decided to join forces with Hitler. Bad choice. Hitler lost that war. Their leader, Yasser Arafat, robbed his people blind and would not make peace when he had the best chance in the world to make peace. Couldn't be the one to do it. Bad choice. Hamas being elected in 2006 or 2007, bad choice. The Palestinian leadership in the West Bank right now, a bunch of old men who, are corrupt and criminal. Bad choice.
That sounds like something familiar, Scott.
We need, yeah, it does, sadly. We need better, everybody needs to watch who they elect.
That sounds something really.
We're not going to have our wine and cheese.
That sounds so familiar.
I don't know, Scott. I've lost track who you're actually talking about anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, somehow, I don't know. Sounds somewhat familiar here.
Yeah, bad choice. Bad choice.
Yeah, bad choice indeed.
Well, so I hope we answered that.
What about a demilitarized zone? I mean, is that possible?
It's a tight space. Let's put it that way.
I mean, really.
Okay.
I mean, when you really think about it, Brooklyn, you're talking about the Manhattan Island to Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah, I know
You're not
it is
talking a
coming.
lot. You're talking
No.
11 miles. What is it? 21 miles wide?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
a handful of paragliders and some motorcycles. It's not safety is a real concern there. And yeah, can all the other Arab countries come in there and provide security? Will that satisfy the Israelis? Should it? The history is not on their side.
yeah.
So I don't know.
And what other Arab country would want to do it?
No, I know. I honestly can't see where this is going, except that it's going to continue going the way it is, and that is very.
That's the way it's always gone.
Well, you know
when you
what?
really think about it.
So you look at the situation there now, and obviously we're all heartbroken over the starving children and everything. And yes, we are. I mean, that is truly deeply felt. Okay, I don't want to downplay it at all. But Golda Meir said something I think is really smart. She said there will be peace in the Middle East when the Arabs learn to love their children more than they hate the Jews. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that, and it's true right now as much as it ever has been. You can't hate Jews so much that you're willing to let your children die, and they're doing that. Hamas is doing that. The people of Gaza are allowing this. They suffer and they hate it, but they're not doing anything about it to change it. And this is the definition of a tragedy.
Yeah,
and
it's also the definition of fanaticism.
Yeah.
There's nothing I believe in more than my children, my grandchildren, that I wouldn't risk to keep them safe and okay. When you've gotten to the point where hating Jews is more important than the safety of your children, that's fanaticism.
So what would you want the people of Gaza to do, like the moms and the grandmas and the very young men who are tottering around dying of starvation at this point? I mean, what should they be doing?
I don't think there's anything they can do at this point.
Well, yeah.
Look, I'm not there, so I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it looks like, honestly. And I've never been to Gaza. I have been to the West Bank, and I've seen the settlements up on the hilltops where the Israelis are, and the Arab people down in the valleys. And I understand, the situation there. And again, it's not in my opinion, a tenable situation at all. It's gone on for way too long. There does need to be a solution of some kind. Again, they were fairly close to it on October 6, 2023. They're not further away from it now than they ever have been. But the one thing that you could do, if you're there and if you care to do it, is fight against Hamas, and understand that for Hamas, there's nothing better in this world than a dead Israeli baby. But second is a dead Palestinian baby, because it means that they're winning the propaganda war, which they want to win so badly. And these are not peacekeepers. These are not freedom fighters. These are not decent people by any stretch. And so the good people of Gaza need to take up arms against them and fight them and expel them from their body politic and make better choices when it comes to choosing leaders.
Exactly.
And where are they? Hamas.
Who knows?
Are they in the tunnels? I mean, how would anyone even find them?
I mean, politically, they're in Qatar, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Politically, they're in Qatar.
Yeah, they don't live there. They were in Tehran or elsewhere. They're not there.
And it's hard to make a determination what's better. Everybody says, be careful what you ask for, you might get it. And it's better to have the devil you do know than the devil you don't. Well, maybe it's time to rethink that ideology as well. There may not be a good Palestinian leader. Just as sometimes we've said, there may not be a good Republican leader anymore. They're all just as bad as the rest of them. I don't know.
Well, the Democrats are even less popular than Trump and the Republicans.
They're not even any better. I mean, so, in a lot of cases, it's, where do you find them? I don't know. But, the fact is if you want to survive as a people, if you want to survive as a nation, you better start thinking about this very, very seriously. And I agree with Scott. The good people of Palestine, you want out of this, you're going to have to fight your way out of it. You're going to have to fight your way out of it. One of the reasons the Germans lost in World War II was because there were Germans inside of Germany fighting their way out of it, and all the resistance fighters. That's one of the reasons the Germans were hurt so badly, was because, as I've always said, it's easy to take over. It's hard to hold on to territory. And you had those freedom fighters out there fighting. So, my comment is that it has to come from within. You've got to have the desire. You have to say, we can do better. We can do better. And the only way you're going to get it is to fight for it. And I know it's conflict. That goes against all conflict resolution techniques. But the fact is that that's where you sit. You've got to be willing to go out there and do it. So hopefully we answered that.
So thank you, Roman. Thank you very much for your question. We appreciate it. And thank you to all our listeners for spending some time with us today. We encourage everyone to subscribe to the Nova Society on whatever your preferred platform is. If you have not already subscribed, subscribing is free, and we really appreciate it. So for everyone here at the Nova Society, Scott, Mark, and me, thank you for listening. Do stay safe, and we will see you again next time.
The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We'd like to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing partners, Apple iTunes, the largest source of podcasts and music on the internet, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your source for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. We'd also like to thank all of our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society would not be possible. If you have a question or comment, we can be reached at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So for Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershwer, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power in society is knowledge. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next time. We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, the Phoenix Research Group, an independent research consortium offering social-political issue solutions to NGOs and international government agencies through multidisciplinary, nonpartisan, and unbiased research. The Phoenix Research Group is a division of the Phoenix Research Institute, the producer of the Nova Society podcast.